This is the story of Brianna Maitland. She was a 17-year-old girl from Vermont who left work and was never seen again. Brianna was born on October 8, 1986 in Burlington, Vermont. She grew up with her parents, Kelly and Bruce, and also her older brother. They lived on a farm in East Franklin, located near the Canadian border. Brianna had a bubbly personality. She was adventurous and loved the outdoors. By the time she reached her sophomore year in high school, life became challenging for Brianna. She was described as a free spirit who was determined to do things her own way. On October 8, 2003, Brianna celebrated her 17th birthday by moving out of the family home. She decided that she wanted to be able to come and go as she pleased, as most teenagers do. Her parents were not happy with this decision and tried to discourage her from moving out. At first, Brianna bounced from friend's house to friend's house, before finally moving in with her childhood friend Jillian, who lived in Sheldon, Vermont. On the night of March 18, 2004, Brianna set her alarm to wake up early the next morning. She awoke the next day, took a shower, grabbed something to eat, and then headed out to take her high school equivalency exam. She was optimistic about her future and even discussed college plans with her mother that afternoon. After lunch, Brianna's mother took her out shopping for clothes that she needed for her second job at KJ's Diner. What happens next may have been the first clue that there was something going on with Brianna. While the two were waiting in the checkout line, Brianna suddenly seemed distracted by something outside and told her mother that she would be right back. After Kelly checked out, she joined her daughter in the parking lot where Brianna seemed distraught. Kelly did not want to pry, so she didn't ask her daughter any questions regarding what had happened when she left the store, and then proceeded to drop Brianna off at Jillian's house. Brianna started getting ready for work for her job at the Black Lantern Inn, located in Montgomery, wrote a note to Jillian, and then left for work. She arrived at the Black Lantern Inn between 3:30 p.m. and 4 p.m. to begin her work shift. When Brianna's shift ended, she clocked out at 11:20 p.m. Some friends from work invited her to hang out with them and go for a late-night dinner. She declined because she had to work her second job early the next morning at KJ's Diner in St. Albans. Coworkers stated that Brianna left alone in her Oldsmobile sedan, heading in the direction of her home. Brianna would not make it home that night. The next day, the Vermont Police Department responded to a report of an abandoned car at what residents referred to as the Old Dutchburn House. The house was located about 1 mile from the Black Lantern Inn. After the officer ran the plates, it was determined the car belonged to Kelly Maitland. The car was wedged up against the house at a strange angle. The back of the car appeared to be stuck on the foundation of the home. A piece of plywood boarding up a window was found resting on the trunk of the car. Upon searching the car, the officer found 2 of Brianna's paychecks, an ATM card, migraine medication, glasses, and a contact lens case. A water bottle and an unsmoked cigarette were also found in her car. A bracelet was found laying on the ground next to the vehicle as well. The police officer believed that this may have been the result of drunk driving. There was no evidence of any serious crime, and therefore the owner was not contacted and the car was impounded. On Monday morning, Jillian arrived home after spending the weekend away with friends. She read the note Brianna had left her on Friday and assumed she had stayed elsewhere for the weekend, since the letter was still sitting there undisturbed. The next morning, Jillian called Kelly and asked her if Brianna was there. Hearing that Brianna had not been home, Kelly became concerned and began calling Brianna's friends and coworkers. It had now been 4 days since anyone had heard from Brianna. Kelly and Bruce then called the police to file a missing person report and were told to gather photos of Brianna. On Thursday, the Maitlands gave these photos to the police. While at the police station, a state trooper showed them a picture of the car that had been abandoned at the Old Dutchburn House. The Maitlands knew right away that it was Brianna's car, and immediately Kelly's stomach turned sour and she began to feel ill. Her parents were convinced that someone else had left that car there and not Brianna. It had now become apparent to the Vermont State Police that they were dealing with the possibility of a very serious situation. The police began to appeal to the public, asking them if they had seen or heard anything. Tips then started coming in. One man reported that at around 12:30 a.m., he had driven past the house and saw the car with the headlights on, but didn't see anyone in the car, and he didn't stop to see if anyone needed help. Another man drove by around the same time and claimed to see the car with the turn signal on, but he kept driving as well. At around 2:30 a.m., Brianna's ex-boyfriend claimed he had been partying across the border in Canada. While driving home, he spotted Brianna's car with the headlights on, and the driver and passenger side doors both open. He stated that he shut the doors and turned off the headlights. Later that morning, some hikers came upon the scene and saw the car backed into the house. They thought that it looked very unusual and decided to stop and take pictures of it. With no sightings of Brianna, the police began to explore some different possible scenarios. The police had considered the possibility that Brianna may have just run away, or that she could have been the victim of a serial killer. Brianna's parents strongly believed that her disappearance involved illegal substances or revolved around that. 11 days after Brianna's disappearance and the discovery of her car, the car was sent to the state crime lab to search for evidence of foul play. Around the same time, police returned to the scene to conduct a canine search of the property around where Brianna's car was found. They collected some items and DNA. This DNA was compared to 11 persons of interest, but no match was found at the time. Keely LaCrosse was a person that the police looked into very closely. 3 weeks before Brianna disappeared, she had been physically attacked by Keely at a party. Brianna's father thought that it might have stemmed from jealousy over Brianna's hanging out with a certain male at the party. It had also been speculated that this attack occurred because Brianna had been seeing Keely's boyfriend. One of Brianna's friends told the police that despite her martial arts training, she refused to fight Keely, who hit her in the face multiple times, breaking her nose and causing Brianna to have a concussion. Charges were filed against Keely, but the complaint was dropped 3 weeks after Brianna's disappearance. The police received a tip that Brianna was being held against her will in a house located in Berkshire, Vermont. It was a rental house occupied by 2 known dealers from New York. On April 15, 2004, police raided the home. They found illegal substances and paraphernalia, but there were no signs of Brianna. One of the occupants was arrested. When the police interviewed Brianna's closest friends, they revealed that she was acquainted with both occupants of the rental home and was known to participate in their activities. Brianna's parents received several anonymous calls that Brianna had been tied to a tree in the woods or that her body had been disposed of at the bottom of a lake. These claims were determined to be false. To help with the search for their missing daughter, Bruce and Kelly hired a private investigator. It was as if Brianna had simply vanished into thin air. Security footage in 2006 from Caesars World Casino in Atlantic City, New Jersey, showed a woman who had a striking resemblance to Brianna sitting at a poker table. The woman sitting at the table was never able to be identified. In 2007, the FBI concluded that they felt the scene where Brianna's car was discovered may have been staged to look like an accident, just to throw investigators off. Brianna's parents both agreed that she may have been abducted by multiple people, because with her martial arts training, it would have been very difficult for just one person to abduct her. Police went as far as to investigate a possible link to Brianna's disappearance, to serial killer Israel Keyes, but in December of 2012, it was ruled out. The Old Dutchburn House caught on fire and burned to the ground in 2016. In the fall of 2020, DNA samples taken from the scene of Brianna's disappearance were tested again using genealogy. This time, they were able to match the DNA sample to a person of interest in Brianna's disappearance. Investigators have not yet released the identification of this person. Brianna's family have been searching for answers for almost 19 years. Bruce Maitland founded Private Investigations for the Missing organization. You can go on the website and contact them, or even volunteer.